right, so Kevin, so here we are in the Readathon.
It's called the Readathon for a reason.
It is. And I didn't think today was going to be so juicy. Mm-hmm. But this is mostly me. I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay.
I do have a couple of actual just procedural updates I want to throw in at you.
Right.
Couple of things. One of the things that happened yesterday, this was after the big news about what was revealed about the jurors approaching the defense and their feelings about not having been heard by Judge Bev about the counts that they were actually not hung on, etc. After that, by the way, Judge Beverly Cannoni actually decided, she put out an order where she's sealed the names of the jurors. So basically her order says, the Supreme Judicial Court has recognized the safety of jurors as crucial to the fair functioning of the judicial system and that our justice system owes them the highest degree of vigilance for their personal safety. This case has garnered significant and divisive attention in Massachusetts and across the nation. This trial was live streamed, etc. So consequently, she finds good cause to impound the list and identifying the names. Basically, she says she's going to keep them sealed. So, that's basically the deal.
All right.
So the order shall expire in 10 days unless otherwise ordered by the court. So she could just keep, re-upping this order.
Okay.
So just so you know, the names of the jurors will not be public soon. I think it's actually a good call considering some of the vitriol, especially on the anti-Karen Read side, as we talked about in our social media episode. So the second thing is that an astute person on Reddit and also some lawyers. So the first place I saw it is on Reddit. So I want to give that person credit, but also some lawyers posted this today. Also, the statute in Massachusetts about hung juries with multiple charges. There actually is a statute, a legal statute.
Okay.
Would you like to hear what it says?
Yes.
All right. This subdivision permits a jury in multiple defendant or multiple offense cases with the consent of the court to return a verdict at any time during their deliberations with respect to charges or defendants as to which a verdict has been reached. This rule also permits the court to require the return of such verdicts before the jury has reached a verdict as to all the defendants or charges. In either case, if the court directs, the jury is to continue its deliberations after rendering the verdicts under this subdivision. To the extent that this rule permits the jury to return such verdicts without having reached a decision on all the charges or defendants, it is consistent with Fed R. Crim P. 31, according to the Rules of Criminal Procedure Rule 535D, 1974. Here's the important part. This rule also provides that the court may declare a mistrial in cases where the jury is unable to read a verdict. However, it must first receive and record the verdicts which the jury can agree upon. See ABA standards relating to trial by jury for 5.4-5 approved draft 1968 Rules of Criminal Procedure, Rule 541. That says after a bunch of letters.
Okay.
Pretty clear.
Yeah.
American Bar Association.
Yeah, and it seems like it would also make common sense. And it just sort of got by everybody. They know that everybody assumed that the jury was deadlocked on all the charges, and so that's why we all moved on. And it wasn't until later we found out actually we had 2 out of 3.
Yeah. Well, they had 1 out of 3 of deadlock.
Yeah, but we've seen that in many other cases where there's multiple charges, and they say, "Hey, we're deadlocked on this one, but guilty of this," or not guilty on that, and then the government comes back with in trial 2 with whatever. That does happen.
Right, and there are a lot of questions about why this jury would find her guilty, of course, on the manslaughter charge, but not we don't know. It could have been a compromise. It could have been thinking of between the jurors, like, well, she's guilty of something, so we don't know. So let's just wait on that, put a pin in it until we actually hear from real jurors. We won't know the answer to that. The real question, though, is why didn't the judge poll them and record those not guilty verdicts? That's the big question up in there.
Yeah.
All right. So here's what I want to talk about today.
Okay.
This is a me thing, and a lot of people have been talking for a long time in this case about one Jen McCabe. Do you remember who Jen McCabe is?
That is the sister of, well, I'll just say it's Brian Albert's sister-in-law.
Yes, I'm so proud of you. Yes.
Right. And Brian Albert is the homeowner.
At 34 Fairview. And Jen McCabe is most famous in this case for...
She was in the car with Karen Read. And she made the How Long to Die in Cold
right.
search.
At what time in the morning, disputedly?
The defense says 2-something a.m.
2:27 a.m.
And the prosecution said, no, that was just an open tab, and it was actually made at 7-something.
Right, correct.
Okay.
But the forensic investigator hired by the defense who, used her iPhone 11 iOS was able to recreate it and say X. And it's disputed about I will say all the prosecution experts did not hold a lot of water compared to what we saw the defense put up.
Sure.
That being said, we have to also remember, with everything the defense knows, they also know what was in that federal investigation. They know all of it.
Yeah, okay.
So I've heard a lot about Jen McCabe in recent weeks. I've heard that she's untrustworthy, that she's awful, that she's this, that she's that. Personally, I have thought it's probably just bullshit red herring stuff. People don't like women. She does have, just to be real, kind of an unpleasant, stiff affect. She does. I mean, she does. She's got, she does. She's
the affect of all the women in this case, including the defendant, has been
she was very abrasive.
Given,
she was very abrasive on the stand. And I know that's a sexist word, but a lot of the men were abrasive as well. She was difficult, in the stand. But, in my head, I was like, well, she's put in a difficult position, blah, 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 blah. Hearing all of this and seeing all of it, and then seeing how this has played out, I decided this week to go back and actually watch Jen McCabe's testimony from beginning to end, both the prosecution side and the defense side. I came away with a very different take on Jen McCabe after watching the testimony. And my take was that she was less than honest in her testimony. The number of I don't recalls to extremely straightforward questions that she had clearly answered differently during the federal grand jury. The number of answers that made no sense. The butt dial answers. The number of phone calls, texts, deleted screenshots, like inexplainable things that she didn't just, give answers for that were unsatisfying, gave answers for that were absurd and in a way that was really upsetting to me, frankly. And not just didn't do herself any favors, but really drew a red underline under the fact that if I didn't suspect before that she was part of some sort of active thing going on here, I do now. And I am not much of a speculator generally, as you know.
Yeah, right.
So there is this this digital firm called Microdots, which is full disclosure working with the defense. Full fucking disclosure.
Right, okay.
No unbiased shit here.
Right.
They say they're not being paid, but they call Karen Reed their client. And they have been doing video visualizations of both prosecution and defense theories of the case and straight stuff based on so for instance, they did Lucky Loughran's what his view would have been like from his plow, and they showed the lighted street, and the visualizations are very true crime documentary style, very over the top. They have,
if they had Karen read the video game for Xbox, this is pretty much what it looked like.
Music, over dramatic voiceovers.
Probably don't need all that, but okay.
That being said, a lot of their visualizations come straight from the experts' data. And I have double checked it, and I would not be showing you what I'm about to show you if I had not double checked this against the trial, that stuff that I just watched, and against the stuff that was posted online about the expert testimony that correlates with this case. I promise you I would not be showing you this if the data in it were not sound. I promise.
Okay.
Even though it is very fucking dramatic and silly. Okay. So they have a video up online now that has garnered over 115,000 views or something in a day. And the video is called Fatal Error, What You Missed in the Karen Reed Trial.
Yep.
And it's true. A lot of people missed this. The reason they missed it is because Alan Jackson was actually asking Jen McCabe questions about this thing. But with all of the I don't recalls and objections and ask it differently, Mr. Jackson's, and butt dials and whatever, it would have been impossible for a normal person to get any kind of timeline or story or what he was trying to get at based on these questions. And I suspect that if he had been allowed to do a day-long closing argument, this is what we would have seen, a story like this, okay? What this actually meant, what he was trying to get at with these questions. So Microdots has put this together in a video timeline with overly dramatic music and overly dramatic voiceover. So it's a 20-minute video. I'm not going to make you watch all 20 minutes. I'm just going to tell you what happens in the first few minutes, and then we're going to pick it up. Okay?
All right.
So in the first few minutes, the Microdots folks say that Jen McCabe's iPhone and Apple Watch are able to absolutely, the data shows a high level of precision of her movements on the morning of January 29th. Okay. She arrived home from the Alberts house at 2:12 a.m. She unlocked her phone at 2:23 a.m. She sent 2 texts at 2:25 a.m. to someone. Unclear.
Deleted, I'm guessing, afterward?
We don't know. Yes.
We don't know. Okay.
At 2:26 a.m., she deletes 2 screenshots immediately 41 seconds after the second text. All right?
Okay.
This is all in an 8-minute period. Her Apple Health data reveals that she only took 19 steps during this period, so she's basically sitting still or maybe doing a little pacing.
What was her heart rate? That'd be interesting.
It's incredible. 2:27 a.m., the Haas along to die in cold Google search, according to Richard Green's forensic report, okay? Her phone use ends at like 2:30-ish. So basically, she ends up using her phone. Karen Reed calls Jen at 4:53 a.m., the longest digital period of inactivity of hers in that whole period of time was 78 minutes. So she's basically up all night, except for an hour and a half period of time. All right? Which is interesting, right?
Yep.
All right. So Karen Reed calls Jen at 4:53. Carrie Roberts and Jen meet up at John's house at 5:46 a.m.
Okay.
They all go out to look for John, and they roll up to Fairview, 34 Fairview Avenue at 6:03 a.m. All right? So we are now at the point in the video where they roll up to the house, and the video shows that Karen was in the back seat. Her purse is off. Her coat is off. Carrie and Jen McCabe are in the front seat. Jen is in the front passenger seat. And Carrie is driving, and Carrie gets out of the car with Jen, and that's where we're picking it up. And we're at about the 4:21 mark in the video. We're just going to hit play, and we might be a little bit before the really juicy part, but we're going to pick it up there. So go ahead and hit play. All right, so you can see they're driving.
Yeah.
It's Jen McCabe in the front seat.
This is actually pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess dawn is broken because it's gotten light.
Morning is broken.
Yeah.
Like the first.
Do you notice there's a Dunkin' Donuts coffee in the...
There is.
All right.
All right, they're rolling up on the house in the snow.
It says 6:03:05. 6:03 in the morning. While calling John, Karen sees him lying on the lawn.
That's right.
Okay.
The music is very dramatic.
She drops her phone on the back seat and exits the vehicle to help him.
Correct. Watch this.
John's voicemail is still recording from inside the vehicle, so this is where it's captured from. Okay.
That's correct. I might have you pause once or twice, but...
Okay.
That is Karen Reed yelling outside of the car as picked up on John O'Keefe's voicemail.
Okay. Meantime, Jen is calling 911 while this is all happening,
correct.
Right?
She's calling 911 from inside the car. And you're hearing Karen Reed outside of the car. This is the recording from 911.
34 Fairview Road in Canton, Mass. There's a man trapped out in the snow.
You're in Canton? Hold on. Let's show the Canton Police Department. You connected to Nolan, okay?
Yeah, I don't know why I did that.
It's the powers of that. Stay on.
I think he's dead. You gotta get here ASAP, okay?
Let's stay on. Let's do it again.
I think he's dead, she says.
I know. Where are the blankets? I don't see blankets, Terry.
911, emergency.
Yes, I need someone to come immediately to 34 Fairview Road, Canton, Mass.
What's going on?
There's a guy unresponsive in the snow.
In the snow at 34?
Yes, 34, the Albert resident, yes. I just pulled up and found him.
Just pulled up and found him, she says.
34 Fairview.
So now you're hearing from outside the car. What's happening? Stand up, Carrie says. Windshield wipers. You can actually hear the windshield wipers going. Jen's not doing anything at this point. She's waiting, ostensibly on the other line.
John is 6 years old.
John, 46 years old.
I think dead, which is a very... Okay. He got out of the car. It could be for an hour for all I... Okay. Karen is freaking out. Do you hear what she's not saying? The music is not helpful.
Yeah. Which she's not saying is I hit him.
No. Okay, 911 call ends at 6:07. Karen,
Okay.
you've got to stop. You're not helping yourself, okay? Carrie says. Her phone is still recording this. Okay, here we
Jen
go.
calling Nicole.
Jen calls Nicole, who is inside of the house. Here it comes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nine-second phone call. Wait, they're going to explain why this is significant in a second. 9-second phone call, Kevin.
It appears to say someone is...
Someone is coming out to help.
Someone is coming out to
She
help.
calls her sister inside the house, and that's all she says. Oh, I'm sorry. And then she calls again, 7 seconds. 11 seconds later. Jen McCabe takes a screenshot. Wait to see what the screenshot is.
Uncle Brian A.
Brian Albert's contact info, which
Okay.
she's clearly planning on sending to somebody.
Mice and men often go awry. They say there's 101 ways a crime can go wrong, but only one way to get it right.
Is this Ewan McGregor?
I don't
Even
think so.
the most brilliant criminal mind could never have anticipated.
Just wait for
the
this little
twist
piece of
fate
analysis. I think
required
you'll
to place
appreciate
Jennifer
it.
McCabe inside of a vehicle, engaging in phone calls, all the while unwittingly leaving her voice recorded on John O'Keefe's voicemail. Otherwise, we'd have never known what she said on her 9-second call to Nicole at 6:07 a.m. Listen closely.
Someone's coming out to help.
Coming out to help.
Now imagine a scenario. It's 6:07 a.m. And as you lie in bed asleep, following a night of heavy drinking with guests at your home, your phone rings.
I don't even think any of this
Surprised
part
by
is
such an
necessary to
unusual
ask
occurrence
questions.
so early in the morning, you reach to see who it is. It's an incoming call from your sister. You press accept and hold the phone to your ear. Hello.
Someone's coming out to help.
Hello? Someone's coming out. Out where? To help who? And why? Are you speaking that way? In our view, the only way this call makes any sense is if the person receiving it had prior knowledge and is expecting a signal that the authorities are on their way and already knows that the call is coming from right outside their window.
All right, hit pause. Okay.
Wow.
Okay, dramatic recreation aside. Jen McCabe made a 9-second phone call to her sister when John O'Keefe is lying unresponsive on the front lawn. And all she said to her sister is, someone's coming out to help. Click. Thoughts?
Well, it sounds like that. I'm not going to bet the farm that that's exactly what is said. Because I've seen enough episodes of Ghost Hunters to realize it could be whatever. It does appear to that. But even if it's not that, even if that's not exactly what the message is, the idea that you would call inside the house and it's 7 seconds and you hang up, whatever it is, reads more like a signal of something as opposed to...
Well, what's absent from it? Tell me what's absent from that call. What's absent from that call is, holy shit, Nicole, come outside. You're never going to believe what's going on.
Yeah.
John O'Keefe is lying on the front lawn. He's unresponsive. The ambulance is coming. Get your ass out of bed and get out here.
Yeah. Or going to knock on the door either. No, that's really interesting. So this is something that has been out there, but it really wasn't. It wasn't made clear during the trial.
Alan
because
Jackson was trying to get to this during the questions. He actually played this tape in court.
Okay. Yeah.
He played, and him playing the tape in court is actually at the very beginning of this video.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
So if you were to rewind, you'd see him trying to play this tape in court, and she just, she's like, I don't know. So he was trying to get to this, and this is the story he was trying to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And just, he couldn't make it clear because she was such an obfuscator and it was impossible to sort of put it together. So after this, there is a baffling timeline and a baffling series of text and phone calls. If you have a couple minutes just to be patient, I'd love for you to see that. Do you have a couple minutes?
Yeah,
be patient. Sure. All right. So these graphics are great. What I want you to pay attention to is what it says inside of the circles that designate the phone calls. Okay?
All right. So where do you want me to go?
Just hit play from right here.
Okay. All right. Should I read these?
Yes.
For our listeners?
Everything you've seen so far, the 911 call, the 2 calls to Jen's sister, Nicole.
What does it say inside the circles?
The screenshot of Brian Albert's contact information.
Let's see. We got Jen McCabe.
What does it say inside of the circles?
Deleted. Jen McCabe to Nicole. Deleted. 608, 607, Jen to Nicole. Deleted. 635, Jen to Matt. Deleted. 647, Matt to Jen. Deleted. 652, Matt to Jen. Rejected. Deleted. All these phone calls, 721, Jen to Karen, deleted. 721, Karen to Jen, deleted. No answer on that one. 733, deleted.
And some of these are phone calls with duration. See, durations of
a minute and a half.
Yep.
838, some phone number calls Jen, 2 minutes, deleted. 846, Carrie calls Jen, 4 minutes, deleted. 850, Tom calls Jen, missed, deleted. Carrie Robert calls Jen at 8:59, 5 minutes, not deleted.
Right.
8:59, Jen calls a
that's
telephone
important.
number, 13 seconds.
Pause there. 8:59.
Yeah.
Jen is still at Fairview.
Mm-hmm.
Jen calls the cops.
Mm-hmm.
Lank. Guess who Lank is, by the way?
Oh, I don't know who's Lank.
Lank was one of the first cops on the scene in the morning.
Yeah.
Lank is also one of the cops involved in the Sandra Birchmore case. FYI. Okay,
Put a pin in that one.
Put a pin in that one for a later episode. She calls Lank and says, I have some information that I just thought of that I forgot to tell you about this morning.
So, okay. So when I'm looking at this visualization, all these calls that are also deleted, so, all the different people, varying durations here from a couple of seconds to 2 or 4 minutes.
Right.
The only thing that she says that she remembers on the stand is this final mark on January 29th?
Mm-hmm.
Remembers details.
Well, yeah, because she calls the cops here and says, I've remembered new details. Guess what details she remembers at 8:59? Want to take a guess?
I heard her say, I hit him.
She says to the cops when they arrive, I just remembered a detail you might want to know. Karen said, did I hit him? Did I hit him? That is the first time that emerges. At 9 a.m., 3 hours later. Did you hear Karen say, did I hit him on that recording?
Nothing that sounded like that to me, no.
I'm just saying there was, so she is at Fairview with the Alberts. She's making outbound calls, to Carrie Roberts. Carrie Roberts, who was there, who apparently left at some point. She's making outbound calls. She's talking. The Tom Beatty, by the way, is a mutual friend. Missed. She doesn't want to talk to him yet because he's a mutual friend of both O'Keefe's and hers, right?
Okay.
So these are people with whom she hasn't had any contact yet. We don't know what we're going to tell them yet. He's dead, blah, 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 right? We can't. Later in the day, by the way, she talks to one of the O'Keefe's, his mom, I believe.
Okay.
But there's all of this intercommunication, 1 minute, half a minute, minute and a half. What are we going to say? What are we going to do? I mean, this is obviously speculation, but it all makes sense. She then calls the cops and says, there's a detail that I think you want to know.
Okay.
The detail that she thought that they wanted to know is, I think, this is Karen saying, I think I hit him. Did I hit him? Now, turn the volume off on the video. And just press play and watch the rest of this phone activity scrolling by.
Okay. All right, it's moving along.
Yep, it's moving along.
Again.
There's some exposition here. So this is when the narrator is telling us exactly what I just told you.
My observation, I found this interesting, is that the narrator has a British accent, and the way they render the dates are also numbered. Then
perhaps Microdots is a Brit. I don't know. I actually tweeted to Microdots today and said I would love to interview them for the Readathon and find out more about their data viz process.
They're like, man, we got so many Patreon requests. All right, so the timeline is moving again. Okay, so now we're at 9:30.
Yep, Jen McCabe calls Carrie Roberts.
Right.
Jen McCabe calls Carrie Roberts. Look at the duration of the calls.
9:33, a minute, 2 seconds.
That was,
9:37, Carrie calls Jen.
Back,
a minute,
4 minutes
27,
later, a minute and 27 seconds.
Now 10:40 is constantly on the phone. Carrie Roberts calls Jen. 15-minute call. 10:55, some telephone number calls Jen. Minute, 18 seconds.
Yep.
Then this is in red, so she remembers this, right? And testifies to this. 11:16. Well, Jen leaves.
No, this is when they leave for the group interview. Now hit pause here.
All right.
So there is a group interview. Okay. People go back home for this group interview. They're already at Fairview. The group interview is going to be with Proctor, the state police.
Okay, and this takes place where?
They don't want to do the group interview at Fairview, where the crime happened.
Oh, right. Okay, right.
I don't know why. They want to do the interview at their house, the McCabe's house.
Mm-hmm.
They pass the Canton police station on the way to their house. Nobody suggests, why don't we meet at the Canton police station on the way? Just meet there. No, they want to do it at their house, okay? So look at this interesting thing. Brian Albert calls McCabe. So most of her calls that day are to Carrie Roberts. Most of them are, most frequently.
Right. Who was in the car with her.
She calls Nicole 9 times, and she calls Brian 6 times.
Okay.
All right. 10:55, Proctor calls Jen again.
And just one thought here. While all these telephone calls that she's making to Nicole, she's outside the house and Nicole is inside the house?
No, this is during the day. This is
all
like
during
later
the day.
after
Okay.
there's
Okay.
all
Super.
during
All
the day.
All right.
Okay, so hit
Wonderful.
play
All right.
again. You can just watch the timeline go by.
Okay.
There's more calls after the police interview. So then there's calls. So keep in mind there's group interviews and then there's individual interviews. And they are all talking.
I was seeing a map here.
Yes, you're seeing a map to where their house is. And by the way, Microdots is fairly responsible, does not show exactly the location. They show everyone knows where 34 Verrier is. The meeting location, that's the approximate location of the McCabe house. But they do show the location of the Canton Police Department, which is literally on the main road between. And I'll show you something really funny that they show you in a second.
6 minute, 2.4 mile trip according to Google directions.
Correct.
Okay.
And now they're going to pan out and show you where Dighton is.
Okay.
Where Karen was with her parents that evening when they went to talk to her and then they impounded the car. Remember the conversation about why it was they would take Karen's car to the Canton Police Department?
Yeah.
And they said, oh, well, because it had a good facility. And it's like, why didn't you take it to a state police facility? Well, it was less convenient and Canton had this good facility. So they show us in this video the proximity of Karen's parents' house there in Dighton, right? Mm-hmm. That's the Canton Police Department in green.
Okay.
Wait till you see where all the police facilities are that this car could have gone.
Okay.
Look at me. I'm like,
by the way, that's quite a distance already. Yeah.
42 miles.
Yeah.
Okay, hit pause there.
Yeah.
Those are all of the state police facilities that car could have gone to instead of back to Canton.
Yeah. So for those who can't see the map, picture Cape Cod. You've seen that little sloop that fills the frame. We're not talking about a little tiny area there. We're talking about a good portion of the state of Massachusetts.
And by the way, between Dighton and the Canton garage is that 1 hour and 18 minutes where Proctor had solo access to Karen's SUV. Okay. So that's essentially the contents of this video. If you were to roll back all the way to the beginning, you'd see a clip of Jackson asking Jen McCabe to listen to that piece of audio on the stand. The fact that they have this tape from John O'Keefe's voicemail that someone thought to listen to it because she was rolling on her phone, it's kind of incredible.
Yeah.
The thing that makes me most upset is that the I hit him has become such an important part of the prosecution narrative. I hit him came from Jen McCabe. It doesn't show up in any of the early police reports from the first responders on the scene. It shows up later after Jen told the state police, does not show up from the first responders in the scene at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows up from this ambulance driver later, ambulance driver who happens to be friends with the Alberts, who probably heard it from somebody else. Right?
Mm-hmm.
This is straight hearsay. This is the kind of thing where very easy to believe, very easy to imagine a situation in which somebody working the case says, oh, but you heard she said I hit him, right? And then it becomes in your head like, oh, when I was talking to her in the ambulance, she said, did I hit it? It then becomes your memory.
Right.
You're asked months later, oh, yeah. She said, did I hit him? Because you're friends with the Alberts and you know everybody, you trust everybody, whatever. And it's like, oh, yeah, that crazy bitch. Yeah, she said that because you heard someone else say she said that.
Right.
I believe, and I am like, if you know me, and I know there's lots of new people listening who don't know me. I am a journalist. I don't fucking speculate. There is a plausible case to be made that between that 6 a.m. and that 9 a.m. period, when a witness calls a cop back and says, oh, I remembered something. And in between those periods of time, they've been talking to the homeowners, one of whom is their sister that they called and made a 9-second phone call to. And the other were also there. And there's back and forth. Oh, I remembered something I wanted to tell you. I believe that is when the idea may have blossomed. We have a very convenient alternate story to tell here. It wasn't perhaps the one that we planned, which was perhaps the plow may come by and it was a horrible, unfortunate accident. Perhaps he may have gotten drunk and fallen and hit his head on the curb. Perhaps it was just going to be some unfortunate, awful, sad thing that happened and we could just say our homeowner's insurance would cover it, whatever. We have a great alternative idea here that we can say. And, you know, I have a new piece of information that ties it because she was slaughtered.
Right.
Anyway, so that is the Microdots video that I wanted to show you. What are your thoughts?
Microdots is great.
Well, it's entertaining, if nothing else.
It is. Yeah, and it's just, again, one of these crazy, I don't want to say coincidences, but just this thing that lines up that makes the story even more compelling, which is that would have thought that there would be essentially a recorder going on in the back seat.
Yeah.
Which is her telephone calling John's telephone. Right. And it's through her phone and it's recorded on his voicemail, and that's the only reason that we have that. And you know, it is informative. Again, when I'm hearing it does sound like that's what she's saying as far as that telephone call into Nicole.
Yeah.
But
someone's coming out to help.
But yeah, it's certainly I can tell you one thing you can get is the tone of the voice. It's not panicked screaming.
It's calm as hell.
There's somebody dead outside your house.
It's
Come outside. It's
calmer than the recreation voice that they use.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say one other thing that sticks out to me.
And it's always like kind of down low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After the police interviews in the afternoon, after Carrie's police interview, after she did more screenshot deleting. So she was screenshotting things, either texts from people or contacts. And obviously the pattern of screenshotting someone's contact, which was probably designed to send to somebody. By the way, Jen McCabe, if you're subscribing and listening, you can just share somebody's contact. You don't have to screenshot it. I mean, maybe you're worried about but you can just hit share on a contact. You don't have to screenshot the contact. It's actually super inconvenient because then the person has to look at the screenshot, dial the phone number. It's actually much more difficult, just FYI.
You're trying to keep their, cover their tracks. But my other question is as far as Carrie goes, are we suspecting that Carrie is in on this too? Or
I don't know.
Okay.
But Carrie was definitely interviewed. I think that Carrie may have been, I will tell you one thing. All of the calls to Carrie Roberts from Jen, a lot of them were after Brian Albert and Jen spoke. So it would be like she called Carrie Roberts right before Carrie's police interview, and she had a quick call with Brian Albert before calling Carrie Roberts before Carrie's police interview. It was a lot of stuff like that. So it was a lot of, if Carrie's not aware of whatever may have been going on, it may have been a lot of hey, tell Carrie to just be chill. Tell Carrie to... It's kind of unclear to me what Carrie's role in the whole thing is, whether
she's just a passenger or whether or not.
It is becoming far more clear to me what Jen McCabe's role in this is. Far more clear that Jen McCabe is not the red herring that I potentially believed her to be, that just had an unpleasant affect. So That's where I am right now, and that's what Microdots and Alan Jackson's cross-examination, and frankly, Jen McCabe's direct examination by the prosecution was not good either. So I'm not just saying these are like people out to attack Jen McCabe who made her look bad. Like, watch the direct examination too. It is not consistent and it is not good. And I think that, I'm not sure anything is going to happen after this all goes, if they decide not to retry, we'll see if anything comes to the federal investigation. They're not investigating Jen McCabe. They're investigating the cops. Mm-hmm. Nothing's going to happen to any of these people, very likely, except that they're just going to continue to be angry and say that Karen Read did it. But they're all in the public sphere now. And I think that it's fair to say that there's a lot of bad looking facts out there. Mm. So anyway, thanks Microdots for putting together the timeline that Alan Jackson was not able to assemble and show us in his closing arguments. I appreciate it.
That's great. That's great. And so for people who wanted to actually see this video or our reaction to it, we're going to try to put out a video version of this podcast, this conversation.
Yeah.
And but if you're looking for it, you should go on YouTube and look up Microdots or Fatal Error, Finding John.
And apparently
you missed this in the Karen Read trial.
And at the very end of the video, you know what it says, Kevin?
What?
To be continued.
To be continued.
I'll be definitely watching the next part for sure.
Oh, man. All right.
All right, Kevin. Thanks for sitting with me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Partners in Crime Media.